Hello, I'm Nightmaaron, and welcome back to The Letter. Sorry I haven't played this for so long. I've been busy with other stuff and streaming, and I've been doing a lot of things. I've started a mixer too, as well as streaming on Twitch. I usually try to stream at least 3 times a week. Yeah. So let's get back into this. Let's check out our journal, which I haven't read our journal for a long time. I probably should be. Rebecca Gales received a housewarming invitation addressed to her parents that morning. After informing them about it, she checked Isabella's apartment and was shocked to find that she hadn't come home last night. I don't know if this is the same thing or not. It didn't say continued, so I'm assuming not. We're in the negative with Ashton. Ooh. The rest of the day slips away in a blur. Despite my best efforts in keeping this morning's events from surfacing in my mind, it sticks. In a way, everything today simply feels like a reminder. Every conversation, regardless of how casual, every topic, no matter how mundane it seems. I blame the news entirely for this. Recent happenings brought quite a few interesting stories to everyone's attention, mostly superstitious talk of death. And when the locals talk about death here, anyone can sure as hell count on someone bringing up that mansion Isabella sold not a few weeks ago. Even my own students won't stop yapping about it. I think it's even worse than when it was put back up in the market. Now, there are more stories. That always seems how it is on like local legends. No matter what goes on with them, it seems like everybody's got a story to tell that's different about that location. If this world is reminding me of what matters or simply because the atmosphere around this time of year calls for it, I'd rather take the latter. At least then, I can be sure people will forget about it in favor of another set of holidays after. Nevertheless, and this may be a painful thing to admit, but listening to them is a pleasant distraction while waiting for Ashton's call. I hope he didn't forget, the school day's about to end soon.
No, that's got nothing with what I heard.
You always I think there's an actor who's supposed to read that. You always hear stuff. I'm not sure it's half of them's even real.
No, really. Rowan knows about it. He used to be in the same class with them.
I can hear you from back here, you know.
Whatever, Rowan. Anyway, the story goes like this. There were 3 of them. They entered the mansion on a dare, and they were all never seen again.
I think we know that's true.
No one knows what happened to them. Up to this day.
Up to this day.
Scary shit, man.
Scary shit, man.
Cock and bull story. Calling it now.
Lady, if you only know what we know.
No, you don't get it. Why don't you ask Miss Gales then? Better yet, why don't you go inside the place? I'm betting my allowance you can't do it.
Their talk immediately halts when I look up, all of them suddenly pretending to be engrossed in their current activity. Still, a word to put a stopper to this nonsense is needed. Creativity and imagination fostered by these stories is one thing, but a reckless idea should be corrected before anything potentially tragic comes from it.
Back to your worksheets, everyone. And I don't want to hear any talk of dares or going inside that mansion. It's private property now. You'd all better stay away from it before.
At the noise, the whole lot of them goes silent. You can almost hear a pin drop. The look on their faces would have made for a funny picture, but that's irrelevant at the moment. If that is a student loitering around, someone's going to be in trouble.
I'll be back. If you're done, you can leave your worksheets on my desk. Keep the noise to a minimum while I'm gone, okay?
Okay. I can sense their eyes on me as I walk out the door. A muted kind of anticipation. A bit unnerving, but it's far more agreeable than the feeling of being watched I've been enduring these past few days. Class is still in session for the most of the rooms. In a few hours, once the final bell rings, however, this place will be once again filled with busy chatter and footfalls on an everyday cycle in itself. But for the moment, I let the silence guide me, my ears focusing on whatever sounds there are or there will be, searching for that distinct clanging of metal. A good minute passes, and for the portion of it, only my steps echo through the halls. And another. I'm about to turn around when it almost sounds like beating on an old shed door, garage door, you know, those old rickety metal ones. The sound of it halts my footsteps. It's a little muffled and infrequent, but grows louder after each interval. With the hallway devoid of people, if I don't put a stop to it soon, it'll start it will blah blah blah. If I could talk, it'll start to disturb the other classes still going on. Looking for it doesn't take long, as I do follow the racket, and shortly I'm standing in front of a nondescript row of unoccupied lockers. And from inside one of them, sitting in the middle, comes the noise, annoyingly disruptive now that I'm facing it. Like someone's pounding on the metal door from the inside, hoping to get out. Leaning forward, I try to glimpse through the horizontal slats of whatever's causing it. But in this light, only the darkness greets me, and another round of clanging. Louder than the previous one. More desperate. I've heard stories before from other schools, from a few colleagues who had to deal with it once or twice. Although personally, I've never encountered one myself, and I can only thank the heavens I haven't yet. But
If this is another kid some other student stuffed in a locker.
with a huff, I straighten up and steady it briefly with a frown. Without delay, I reach for its handle and at once it stops, immediately replaced by the muffled sound of a mobile phone ringing. I give the door a few raps before taking my attention away. A second, another. When nothing or no one responds, I finally avert my eyes and pull out my mobile. Ashton's voice greets me from the other end of the line, oddly cheerful in light of this morning's matters. Or maybe because I'm expecting some grave or serious news from him. Instead, I get this.
Hey, Becca.
Well, you sound happy.
I do? My voice still sounds the same to me.
There are only two things I know of that could be the reason for that tone. Sweets, or he's gotten a good lead in this case. From the sound of it, I'm going to assume it's the former, since lately that case is all that's running inside his head. If there's ever a third one, I've never heard of it yet. It can only be one of the two.
Ignore that. How's Isabella?
Drove her home a few minutes ago. I think she's sleeping now. Sorry this took a while. Z-Man gave us the puppy eyes after we tried to leave. Had some food prepared for us, apparently. We didn't have the heart to say no.
That's all right. Is she okay now?
I'm not really sure. She didn't say anything to Zach, but she mentioned a plan to take a few days off from work. It was a passing comment before I left her, so I didn't get to ask.
Must be because of Rose's death.
Could be. It doesn't seem like it from Zach's story, though. He said she was shaking when she got there.
Shaking?
The word triggers a memory. From 3 days ago, on the way home from her little treat after she sold the mansion, I didn't think much of it at the time, but I won't lie, it scared me. That terrified look on her face, how she sounded when she suddenly screamed.
Becca? Still there?
Yeah, I just remembered something. Sorry, don't mind me.
Look, if you can talk to her, get the story out of her. That would be great. She wouldn't talk to Zach or me even when I tried. Maybe she'll speak up if it's you?
I'll give it a go, but I can't promise anything, okay? You know how stubborn she can get.
Extremely stubborn, we know.
But thanks for letting me know about this.
No problem. If anything comes up, just drop me a line, okay?
Okay. There's a short pause before he cuts the call from his end, and once again, I'm alone with my thoughts. But rather than answers, all I got from it are questions. More of them, one on top of the other, as if the world isn't planning to give me a break anytime soon. But that's a problem I'll tackle later, Tacker. Right now, I've got students who need to be taught follies of eavesdropping if the slightly open door and their smothered laughter from inside is an indication.
All right, enough eavesdropping. All of you, back to your seats.
Is that your boyfriend, Miss Scales?
None of your business.
He totally is. A quick scuffle follows that comment. If there's a retort prepared at the tip of my tongue, I drop every pretense of letting it loose on them. There's no use arguing with teenagers sometimes, boisterous as they all are. They're still my kids, though. Rough around the edges, maybe, but still my kids. Shaking my head, I head back to the classroom with a smile, but not before taking a glance at the locker again. It hasn't made a sound since.
Oh, must be the wind.
Really? That must have been the wind? Okay. So without another look, I leave it alone. All in all, the entire school day ends without a hitch, and we got a journal entry. I'm gonna try and read these now. Oh, that was a new one. All right. Worried about her friend's behavior, Rebecca informed Ashton about Isabella's disappearance. It turned out that she spent the night at Zachary's, and Ashton offered to pick her up. Rebecca went to school after and had a strange encounter in the hallwat. That's what it says, hallwat. With one of the students' lockers. All in all, the entire school day ends without a hitch. We read that. It could have gone better, mind you, but with the exams nearing, getting out of work before the sun has set looks as though it's far off dream for now. At least until they're over. Then we have the holidays to look forward to. There really are times when you simply take what you can get for the time being.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. All I'm hoping for is this will continue until the whole day ends. There's still that promise I made to Ashton, and frankly, the idea alone doesn't sound good. If Isabella didn't talk to them, what makes them think she'll talk to me? It's not like there's a hierarchy, is there? Just because I can handle Isabella's childish tendencies doesn't mean I can do it all the time.
Really, those two give me too much credit.
Nevertheless, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, if only because I'm also worried about her. And both Zachary and Ashton deem it important that somebody gets the story out of her. Here's to hoping it's got nothing to do with that letter. Again. I understand if she feels a bit stressed lately, but keeping that story going on for more than a week it's bound to get tiring at one point. Seriously, I merely don't want this to end in another argument. God willing, the cafe's special will help smoothen things out. After all, it's always been food with her. Or money. But mostly food. At this hour, the cafe is usually filled to the brim with people. That's the reason Isabella and I rarely ever go here during the evenings. It's simply too much of a hassle when we can prepare food ourselves in the comfort of our homes, and there really isn't much reason to eat out lately. What with life going on a busy streak. No time for long lines, better spend that doing something productive, yes?
Lucky there isn't one tonight.
Only a few people are idling around the counter. 4 of them, in fact, a woman in her 60s and a teenager busy with his phone. Both are just waiting to be served their orders. The other 2, a posh-looking man and a child who I immediately recognize as Kylie, appear to have not yet picked anything they want. Oh! She's the niece, isn't she? I just got that. For some reason, my stare lingers at the guy. Though dressed relatively well and looks harmless, I haven't seen him around these parts before. Someone new in the neighborhood, perhaps. Even so, there's something familiar in him. It feels like I've seen him somewhere before. That also begs the question of why Kylie is with him. Of course, the girl easily takes a liking to anyone who buys her sweets, so it's a bit both worrisome and surprising. The blonde bloke doesn't look particularly thrilled with the company, though. I tear my eyes away from them soon enough once the guy at the counter appears ready to take my order. That, and I'd also hate to be accused of ogling strangers.
2, evening special, takeout.
He's already punching the order before I even finish. Saying my order out loud is really more a formality's sake than made out of habit. He has known Isabella and I long enough that if we ever drop by here, he already knows it's always because I'm buying dinner for the two of us. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it, but Isabella can sometimes be a bad influence. He gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order, while I fish for my wallet when...
Look, you little ankle biter. If I buy you the biggest parfait they have, will you please behave?
Little ankle biter. Wow. He's gonna be a great, smashing, perfect dad.
I would just like 10 minutes of peace and quiet.
And a bottle of wine.
You said you'll get me some bread pudding this time.
Yeah, well, darling, they said they ran out of it. Just pick another one so we can be on our way.
That parfait doesn't look as cute as the one my mom bought me.
Parfait is just ice cream, sweetheart. It'll melt no matter how dainty it appears. In the end, it'll all look like an ugly puddle. Now come on, just pick one. It could even be the most expensive one on that list. I don't give a shit. I don't care. What I would give for someone to buy you off my hands right now.
What? My whole attention instantly snaps back to them and their conversation. What just happened? Oh, my computer decided to close the game. Jumping to conclusions isn't something I'm particularly fond of, especially when all I have are baseless assumptions. But you can't really trust a stranger these days. No one around the cafe seems to have noticed his words either. Very suspicious words. Still, I don't move. Yet. But my hand has already shifted from my wallet to the book I'm carrying. A hardbound textbook. Looks harmless, but if a situation calls for it, it might be a good, deadly weapon. Might. I haven't gotten the chance to try it anywhere so far. Today could be the day.
But you promised.
Look, if you don't want a parfait, how about a Bonifay pie? I'm sure it'll taste just as good as any other bread pudding. I'll even buy you the entire tray. How does that sound?
That's not what you said before.
Well, sweetheart, adults change their minds sometimes.
You said if I come with you, you'll buy me a bread pudding, and I did, and now you won't keep your promise.
This even sounds more suspicious.
I want to go home. I miss my mom.
No, darling, if I remember correctly, and I have a good memory, honey. What I said was, if you come quietly with me, I might buy you one. The quiet part didn't happen. Though now that I'm sober, I think this is a bad idea. I should just ship you someplace else for that peace and quiet.
Oh, that's it. No hesitation. In a few paces, he's within my reach, and without warning, I'm slamming the flat area of the book against his skull.
Ow!
There's a cry of pain, followed by him instantly crouching down, hands nursing the sore spot. Almost comically, if this were a different situation and the safety of a St. Goretti student isn't at stake, I'll probably feel sorry for him. I mean, has anyone seen how thick this book is?
Get behind me, Kylie.
Miss Pink!
It's amazing how fast her expression changes from the pouty one earlier to something that of utter delight upon seeing me. But there's no time for any pleasantries, not even quick ones, because soon the man straightens and I'm readying my favorite newfound weapon for another hit. Except this time he's ready, and before I can land another one on it, his hand shoots up to catch my wrist in a firm hold. I like this better for a screenshot. And the look on his face.
Bloody hell, woman, what's your problem?
To say he's pissed would be a complete understatement. Had I been the weak-willed sort, I'd probably cower at his sharp gaze. But that simply isn't how I roll. If he thinks he can scare me and do as he pleases here, just because I'm a woman or whatever his reasons may be, he's got another thing coming for him. So instead, I return it to him with the same intensity, with the same venom.
What's my problem? You're the one who has a problem here. Rotten bowbags like you don't deserve the freedom to roam this town. What are you doing to this girl?
And why is that any of your business, pray tell?
Oh, it's my business if I make it to be. Now, release me or I'll call the police.
Oh, you think that scares me, Daisy?
I have a name, you sleazy douchebag.
Oh, I'm sure.
His grip on my hand only tightens when I attempt to shake it off. His tone may be dripping with anger and sarcasm, but the gleam in his eyes says it all. He's getting a kick out of this. Riling people up, getting on their nerves, invading their personal space. He knows exactly what and which buttons to push. The nerve of this person. Oh. The nerve of this arsehole. If he thinks I'm going to give in to this gloating, please, he might as well just kiss his sorry behind. In fact, why not do the most sensible thing right now? Teach him a lesson. I've got to. Oh boy, I've got to do it.
Mister, you have until the count of 5 to let me go and step out of my personal space.
What'd I get? Oh yeah, I dropped him down good. A fair warning. Fairer than any I can offer people of this kind, and I'm already being considerate. Hell, this arsehole doesn't even deserve a warning. If he doesn't listen, well, he's as much responsible for what will happen next as anyone.
Or else what?
Oh, look at his face.
Such vulgar words coming out of that pretty mouth. A gorgeous flower like you shouldn't even be saying.
Don't say I didn't warn you, bowbag.
Love that intensity, Daisy. FYI, I like feisty in a woman. It gives them this certain charm.
You're not gonna like what's about to happen down below.
Why don't you?
5.
A second of silence. I got an achievement, nuts and bolts. Then without any preamble, my leg moves in one fluid motion and delivers a swift, powerful, well-placed kick to his nether regions. Needless to say, the effect is instantaneous. He yelps and abruptly drops his hold on me and kneels over, howling from the pain. I love the dramatic, intense music. I can see from the tears forming at the corner of his eyes, too, though the mere sight of it prompts not an ounce of remorse from me. I would have been gentler if he isn't such a dirty little prick with an ego too big for his head. Too bad. Whether this obliterates any chance of him ever procreating remains to be known, but a part of me is already praying he doesn't ever breed after this. We have no need for any more of him in this world.
You mad woman!
I warned you, you ass.
Why, this is harassment, I'm telling you! Harassment!
Then why don't you tell that to the police once they get here,
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all in your head. None of it's true. You best have that pretty brain of yours checked before that gets worse. What is wrong with you? Is this the face of someone who'd do anything suspicious?
Oh? You don't think a stranger luring an innocent child with promises of sweets before whisking them away from their parents doesn't warrant any suspicion? You have a very funny definition of suspicious, asshole. Maybe you're the one who should have that head of yours checked.
The kid asked me to buy her sweets. You're the one who's suspicious here. I'll have you know, I have a wife.
That much at least appears to be a sliver of truth to it. He even makes a show of brandishing his left hand to my face with much flourish. A wedding ring is there, though all that earned him is an unimpressed glare from me. Immediately, a small part of me starts to feel sorry for whatever poor woman is married to this sod. I don't understand why he has to bring her up, either, as if the mention of her alone will magically present a solution to his problem. She must truly be a remarkable woman if she can handle a dirtbag like him.
And even my wife of all people in this bloody city, has never, I'm telling you, accused me of such a scandalous thing! You crazy woman!
I love the actor for him. He does such a good job.
Married or not, you're still a sleaze. Honestly, I feel...
Miss Pink, why are you fighting with my teal?
Whatever words still left to be said here dies on my tongue. The same goes for the sleaze. Besides us stands Kylie, gawking at us with the same curious stare she often brings with her. I know that Luke? I know that Luke. I know that look all too well. A precocious child through and through. She doesn't say anything further. Her gaze simply moves between us, eyeing us both carefully, clearly anticipating an answer. From my experience, when it gets like this with children her age, it's a sure sign they won't leave you until you've given them an answer they're satisfied with. Lying won't do either. It is dissolved into a shouting match for heaven's sakes. And did she just say Tio? Something falls straight into the pit of my stomach at that. But my tone is gentle when I finally address her, void of any apprehension and what might have been first hints of embarrassment. I pointedly ignore the latter. It can very well be just the hunger speaking.
Kylie, sweetie, do you know this oaf?
Yeah, he's Teal Luke.
Right at the moment, my brain stops. Every line of thought, every argument I still have against the man besides me dissipates in a haze. Amidst all of it, one memory gets triggered from a few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before? The uncle? The guy Rowan wanted to impress? Or was that a dare? I'm sorry, I can't recall. Is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
Yeah, the one and the same. Don't you know who he is?
I sure as hell don't, darling. Because if I do, I wouldn't have let everything I said come out of my mouth.
He's my Teal Luke. Gazillionaire extraordinaire, am I? No, the fairy godfather.
He's your godfather. That's nice.
The one and only. Did I get that right, Tio?
More than right, sweetheart. I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
Yeah. Whatever it is landed at the bottom of my stomach prior has shot straight up to my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spreading to my cheeks, coloring my face the almost same shade as my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole here and now. His eyes are on me. I can feel them jeering, mocking, and I can't even bring myself to look at him. What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the same time of his life right now. But I know I can hear the sneer in his tone alone when he talks. He has that smug grin on him, which I may or may not want to punch his face at present just for the hell of it. But damage control. I need to do some damage control before this whole thing goes south. I apologize. Let's see how it does. Oh, it boosted us up. Quite a bit, actually. Though it pains me to apologize to a sleazebag like him, this is my mistake. With Kylie watching us close by, I don't want to set a bad example for her, do I? I'm surprised she grew up the child she is. If anything, I want to be the role model this man couldn't possibly become for her. Even if it means taking a few blows to my ego and stroking his insufferable one. A deep gulp of air and a short moment to swallow my self-respect, and then I'm facing him. The words are out of my mouth in a single breath.
I'm really, really sorry, sir. I had no idea.
His smirk is impossible to miss. He's not making an effort to hide it, and even the smile is so irritatingly present in his tone. If I could slap it off him, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Now, it's an honest mistake, Daisy.
No, I really mean it. I actually thought you were, and then...
It's fine now. It probably happens quite a lot to a few people who look suspicious to you. Seems I'm one of them now. But don't lose sleep over it. Do be careful with that book, though. A little more and you would have dislodged my poor brain off my head. What would I ever do if that happens?
Oh no! Did it leave a mark or anything? If you want, we can have it checked. I'll handle the expenses if there's a need for it.
Now, what kind of man would I be if I let an attractive woman such as yourself do that? Why don't we just look at it this way? My forgiveness is coming from the utter goodness of my heart.
Yeah, your black, rotten heart. So full of himself. Exactly the kind of person I'll happily leave to die in a ditch somewhere.
Of course, sir. Why didn't I think of it that way?
Her face.
I know, right? But even someone as capable as you is bound to have a few lapses. No harm done, Daisy. Let's move on from this.
Well, if you're going to put it like that, then I guess there's nothing left for us to talk about.
I figured as much.
Sleazy douche. Awkward. The whole exchange is nothing but an awkward display of fake pleasantries. On that note, one that brings much agony to the very pride I've willingly held back a while ago. I might need a drink later so I can forget that this ever happened. Who would have thought this time would come when I'd meet someone tougher to handle than Isabella? Miracles and miracles, I swear. Though to my surprise, he proffers me a hand shortly before they leave. For a shake, I realize after a long moment of staring at it. I accept it, albeit half-heartedly. But all of the goodwill that small gesture represents melts into thin air when he winks at me. Winks. The gall of this man. However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I've paid. He offers me another smile before I leave. Normally, I return it for a simple sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. For the time being, I do so freely. After that encounter and the scene we've caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level. It feels like a reassurance despite bearing no promise of better days. I take what little I can with me as I step out into the night. All right, I know I said I was going to run an hour, but I'm kind of running out of time, so I've got to get this edited and uploaded for today. So, yeah, I'll try and get back to this like real soon. So I know you guys want me to keep playing it and finish it off. So, and I've got to get Doki Doki Literature Club finished. I know some people have been asking me to finish that. So, yeah. Anyway, if you like it, hit the like button. Leave me a comment below if you want to. Check out my Twitch and Mixer. I do stream frequently. Be nice to one another, and we'll meet in the next video. See you guys.